Okay, hello again from the New World Order. And I wanted to cover a few things that I didn't have a chance to cover in my last video. Um, as far as the war goes, I hope that on the last video I did, which said Lindsey Williams was right, or Lindsey was right again, um, I spoke about the fact that war has been predicted, and also economic collapse, primarily the collapse of the dollar. But when it comes to war, there was a video I ran across, was originated out of Norway. I put the link to the video in my last video. But the 90-year-old lady had a vision, a dream or a vision, where God showed her the future, and the things that she related this vision to a man in Norway called Emmanuel Minos, who was a preacher of the gospel. And the things she spoke of were so hard to believe that he, even though she spoke this prophecy in 1968, 42 years ago, um, they were so disturbing that the pastor shelved a lot of what she said, and he didn't publish it until 1997, about 13 years ago. But you can tell from what she said, and I did some research on it online, and there are many links. If you look it up and if you Google it, you can find many links to this prophecy. But one of the things she said about the coming war is that it would go nuclear. And I've been studying the book of Revelation for quite a while now, and according to what Lindsey said, is the elites do want to start another war. Now, he said this war will start, um, he said it will start small and then it will grow and grow into a larger scale war. And that's exactly what the lady said, is that the war would start small. And she's talking about people in 1968 now. She said that it would be a surprise where the war started, and that people would be surprised by it, and also um, that once it started small, but it would continue to grow until it went global. And I wanted to read, I put a link to some scriptures in my last video, but I wanted to read really quickly these scriptures in Revelation which pertain to the things that are to come very soon. And I'm reading out of Revelation 6 and Revelation chapter 8. Revelation 6, it talks about the four horsemen, and a lot of people, even though they don't know their Bible, they've heard of the four horsemen. And it talks about the first horseman is a rider on a white horse, and it says he carried a bow and was given a crown, and he went out to conquer. And then the second creature came out, was a horse that was fiery red, and he was given a great sword that says to take peace from the earth, so that people would slaughter one another. And then the third horse is a black horse, with a rider has a balance in one hand, and he says a quart of wheat will cost you a whole day's wages, and 3 quarts of barley will cost you a day's wage too, which speaks of famine generally. And then the final horse is a pale horse, and its rider was called Death, and behind him said Hades, or Hell, followed with him. And it says, these four horses, they were given power over 1/4 of the earth, that they could kill its people with sword, famine, disease, and wild animals. So there you have a picture of the coming war. What else is going to kill 1/4 of the people on this earth other than war, famine, diseases, and then it says wild animals. And wild animals could mean, it says beasts of the earth in another translation. And that could mean even contagious diseases that are caused by, say, swine flu or something along those lines. And then you go on, and after the four horsemen come, then in chapter 8, there comes these plagues. And this is after the 1/4 of the people on the earth have been killed. And it says there are 7 trumpets, angels with 7 trumpets. And it says the first angel blew the trumpet, and hail and fire, get this, hail and fire mixed with blood were thrown down on the earth. And 1/3 of the earth, 1/3 of the trees, and 1/3 of all green plants were burned. When the second angel blew his trumpet, something like a great fiery mountain was thrown into the sea, and 1/3 of the sea turned to blood, and 1/3 of the living creatures in the sea died, and 1/3 of the ships were destroyed in the sea. Think about all the nuclear submarines and other ships that are out there on the sea right now. When the third angel blew his trumpet, a great star fell from heaven, and it was burning like a torch, and it fell on the rivers, and on 1/3 of the rivers, and on 1/3 of the springs of water. And the name of the star was wormwood, and 1/3 of the water turned bitter. In other words, the waters were poisoned, 1/3 of the waters on earth, rivers and springs of water. And it says many people died because the water was so bitter. So you have the land being burned up, you have the sea being poisoned, and you have rivers being poisoned. And this is a picture of what could happen after a nuclear war. And this is exactly what the lady from Norway, the 90-year-old lady in 1968, this is exactly the picture of World War III that she saw. And she said that the industrialized world would be the worst ones hit. I also wanted to mention that a blog entry that I saw this week, and it's written by an individual who has firsthand knowledge of the chip that they are producing. And if any of you have heard of Russo, he is a film producer who knew one of the Rockefellers and talked personally to Rockefeller. And he mentions in the video link that I'm going to give you, he mentions that he talked to Rockefeller in the year 2000, 11 months before 9/11. And Rockefeller had already mentioned to him that they wanted to put a chip in everybody so they could control everybody. And also that they knew an event, Rockefeller said an event was going to take place, and that the war in terror was a complete fraud, and many other things that are going on that proves that what you see in the mainstream media is not true. But I wanted to read you this blog entry, so here's the blog entry. Back in early 2002, I did a gig for Intel, and it was hush-hush. They were going to try to meet to see if how voice, text, and other communications could be recorded and stored. And they had stuff that even 8 years later I have not seen on the market. The point is that in early 2002, Uncle Sam planned to begin recording all of our communications. And they have very advanced technology which the rest of us don't have. And he goes on to say, he says, I've seen with my own eyes the chip that will go in your thumb that holds all of your records, your driver's license, passport, medical records, x-rays, banking information. And he said that the only problem they have now is getting the public to accept how to take this chip. And he said 9/11 funded a lot of money into companies that worked on voice and face recognition data. And he said it's not necessary to house nonviolent criminals anymore because now they can be monitored 24/7 with all this. And of course, these systems eventually will be used on everyone. So I just wanted to read a portion of that to you and let you know what's coming down the pipeline. So be prepared. Everybody get ready. Jesus is coming on the New World Order.